afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It is Friday, February the 25th, 2021, 12:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. This is episode 147 of McRae Live, and today we're talking Jeepers Creepers. Where'd you get those papers? That's actually how the song used to go. Okay, so we're talking Jeepers Creepers today, but this is a discussion that I wanted to have when the news was announced yesterday that an article from Variety, which we'll take a look at in a second, that they are making a Jeepers Creepers 4 titled Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Now, this is a touchy subject, and you may be asking yourself, why, Dave? Why is it a touchy subject? Well, if you're a horror fan, you probably already know. But sometimes us horror fans, pick your fandom. Movie fandom, sports fandom, NASCAR fandom. But that's a sport! Yeah, I guess it is. Whatever your passion is, every passion has communities, and every passion has, cliques and groups, and you can get lost in your group into thinking you're far more relevant and important than you really are to the broader, bigger picture of the world. That can sometimes happen. So, us horror fans probably already know the touchy subject that is Victor Salva, the director and writer and the creator of the Jeepers Creepers character and the franchise. If you are not aware, I'm going to tell you. Now, there are people that don't like to talk about it. There are people that don't want to even bring it up. There are people that don't want to even mention his name. I understand that. I respect that. I respect that that is your decision, as long as you can respect that this is my decision to talk about it. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I think this is an opportunity to inform those who may not know about it, to inform those who may be like, what? I didn't even know that. It's not like Victor Salva is a household name. It's not like it's Steven Spielberg or, Harrison Ford or something where you can walk out onto the street and say, hey, Steven Spielberg, and 99.99987% of the population is going to know who the fuck you're talking about. You walk out onto the street and say Victor Salva, probably about, I would say less than 10% of people would know who the hell you're talking about. Because he's not a household name. And I think there are a lot of horror fans out there as well. Not everybody, but a lot of horror fans out there that you could say that name to who wouldn't know who the fuck you're talking about, because it's not like he's a household name. And if you do know that name, well, you probably know it for all the wrong reasons. Or the right reasons, depending on how you look at it. Look, there's a lot I want to talk about today. And I want to start with this guy. For those of you that may not know, the writer, director, creator of The Creeper, of Jeepers Creepers, Victor Salva. He's a convicted pedophile. All right. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. I don't care about YouTube algorithms. I don't care about, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say this. Look, fuck you, YouTube. Okay. I'm going to say it because you can't talk about this shit without saying it. You want to demonetize this shit, go right ahead. I don't give a frog's fat ass about it. You have to talk about it. If we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about it. And that's what I want to do here. And he's a convicted pedophile. That's what he is. Not maybe he might. No, he is. He is. He pled guilty to it. This is from the Wikipedia page. So here we go. In 1988, Salva was convicted of sexual misconduct with one of Clown House's underage stars who was 12 years old at the time. I believe that was a movie he was a part of. He directed, perhaps. And videotaping one of the encounters. Not good. Commercial videotapes and magazines containing child pornography were also found in his home. There are sources to this excerpt here from Wikipedia. Salva pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty also to oral sex with a person under 14 years of age and procuring a child for pornography. He was sentenced to 3 years in a state prison, of which he served 15 months. Christ. He completed his parole in 1992. Now remember, folks, but if you smoke pot, You're going away for life. You son of a bitch. How dare you smoke that, you fucking goddamn son of a... It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. Although pot is legal here in Canada. Come on up. Come on up. It's legal here. Listen, this is, he's a convicted pedophile. But that didn't stop Hollywood, allowing him to work. He directed. And listen, there are people out there that have a very difficult time separating the art from the artist. I understand it. I really do. I really do. And if you can't do that, that's okay. That's okay. I am somebody that can, and I don't know why. I haven't really intellectualized it and thought about it in any sort of deep psychological reason as to why. But I can certainly say that I can do that. I can separate to a degree. I think it's fair to say to a degree, right? These things are not black and white. These things are very nuanced. There's a lot of variables at play. But I also think it's important for us to understand, and you've heard me say this a lot, not that Victor Salva is extraordinarily talented or anything, but I do think we live in a world where it is very difficult for a lot of people to believe that somebody incredibly talented or somebody who is written something that, can be such a horrible person. Folks, they're not mutually exclusive to each other. You can be a scuzz-sucking piece of dog shit and be incredibly talented. You can be a scuzz-sucking, lower-than-life, inbred piece of dog shit and still be an incredible piano player, an amazing actor, an incredible writer, a hilarious comedian. Those things can coexist. I think we do live in a world where it's difficult for us to imagine somebody who we've idolized. Not that anybody's been idolizing this guy. I'm just talking about in general, like take Bill Cosby, take Kevin Spacey, take, Michael Jackson, but Michael Jackson was, I know. But just think about all the allegations and everything and all that kind of stuff. It's not unprecedented for somebody to be incredibly talented and be a scuzz-sucking piece of shit at the same time. You can't, that can't happen. That can't happen. So we have to remember that. Despite what our heart and our emotional attachment and our fandom may want to tell us. I do think there's a lot of people that don't know about this, that don't know about Victor Salva. He of course, is the director of Powder. It's a good movie. He was the writer and director of Jeepers Creepers, the creator of this villain that has not quite, in my opinion anyway, in the broader scope of horror, has not quite moved into the realm of... He's been on... The character and the mythology has been on the cusp of being something great. Brilliant. But has always lived in the shadow of what we're talking about. He's a convicted pedophile. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. And, when I hate to say this, I'm the first to say that we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but he looks like he would be somebody who was a convicted pedophile. Sorry. I know that's not a very nice thing to say, but he looks like a scuzz-sucking piece of shit. He does. He looks like what you would imagine a scuzz-sucking piece of shit pedophile to look like. He just looks like that. Now, it's not his fault that he looks like that, but I'm just, you look at him and you're like, oh, I could. He's got the archetypal sort of look. I hate to say it, but he does. He looks slimy. But that didn't stop Hollywood from allowing him to direct. That didn't stop them, boy. That didn't stop them. So Jeepers Creepers comes out in 2000. Now, of course, the internet was in its infancy, relatively speaking. And of course, the free flow of information in the year 2000 is not what it was not what it is today, kids. For those of you that are not old enough to remember that, it's not what it is today. It's not what it is today. Nobody knew about it. I mean, it was something that was sort of under the rug. Jeepers Creepers was a wide release, a theatrical release in nearly 3,000 theaters across North America in 2001. And then, of course, you have its sequel a couple years later, which also got a wide release and was a box office hit. And I believe, I stand to be corrected, but I believe Jeepers Creepers 2 was the highest grossing Labor Day, 4-day Labor Day weekend movie of all time, up until, I think, The Transporter 2 years later, or something to that effect. Something like that. You know, these were big movies, relatively speaking. I mean, these are horror films, right? But then social media came around. Social media came around. And that was the end of Victor Salva. Or so we thought. And then Jeepers Creepers 3 comes out in 2017. Now, this got a lot of pushback. I believe the movie was shot up here in Canada, I think in Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken. Or it was going to be, and then the production company said, no, you can't, and then they moved it to the States. It was something like that. I think there's a Canadian connection somewhere. Anyway, but there were a lot of people that were attached to be a part of this movie, Jeepers Creepers 3, that didn't even know that and that's a 2017, that didn't even know that Victor Salva was a convicted pedophile. So again, not everybody knows this. There were actors that were attached that pulled out of that movie because they're like, whoa, why didn't you tell me this? Not everybody knows this. And I think it's important that we have this difficult discussion. And I mean, you know, this is a very serious thing. And if it's something that you don't want to listen to, if it's something you don't want to talk about, I understand that. I respect that. I do. But I did want to use this opportunity and my reach. Let me try that again. I wanted to use my reach as an opportunity to let people know about something they may not know about. Maybe somebody's favorite movie is Jeepers Creepers, and they think Victor Salva is this incredible human being, and well, no, he's not. Oh, he's incredible, all right, for all the wrong reasons. But he writes and directs Jeepers Creepers 3. Now, Jeepers Creepers 3 was released in 2017, not to a wide, I mean, there wasn't a studio that was going to touch that. I mean, a studio did, obviously, independently. But I'm talking about, you know, a wide release, a major studio's not going to touch that. Not in 2017. So it largely played for one night only here or there. It played here. It did go to festivals. But it didn't get the release that, you know, obviously it just basically wound up on home video and streaming. But this is how fucking clueless Victor Salva is. And this is why he's a dangerous man, still to this day. Okay? This is why he's dangerous to this day. So, where are we here? Jeepers Creepers 3. So this is one of the controversies from Jeepers Creepers 3. Okay? Now, some of you may not know this. My glasses are around here somewhere. Excuse me, I don't have my glasses on. This is from Wikipedia, but there are sources here. I always look for those sources, which is good. I've checked them out. Jeepers Creepers 3 sparked controversy over allegedly using child molestation as a plotline, which resulted in criticism of the film due to Salva's 1988 incarceration for sexual abuse of a 12-year-old and possession of child pornography. The dialogue, quote, "Can you blame him, though? I mean, look at her. The heart wants what it wants. Am I right?" End quote. In reference to the film's character, a sexual abuse victim, was singled out, ultimately being removed from the theatrical cut, although it was present in the screened version delivered to critics. Now, who wrote the movie? Victor Salva. He didn't write it with anybody else. It was just him. To write something like that in a film is a gross, at best, incompetence, and at worst, I think we all know what at worst is. You don't write something like that. If he has any sense of a brain and thinks, it's probably not a good fucking idea to write this, he may still feel it. He probably does. I mean, these people don't just, it's not like he got out of prison and was like, oh, hail Jesus. No, not at all. He's still dangerous. Of course he is. Now, I don't know what other ways he's satisfying that need. I don't believe, unless he's been to major psychotherapy, major psychological, whatever these people need to do. And if he hasn't, I mean, why would you write that? It's just so, it's such a, it's so wrong to write that. You don't do that. You don't do that, Victor. You're not allowed to do that. Victor Salva is a dangerous guy. And I'm sorry if you didn't know about this. I wanted to get the elephant in the room out of the way first. Let's talk about Jeepers Creepers Reborn here, which doesn't have a Victor Salva connection. But, I mean, folks, he created the character. Now, they may not have mentioned Victor Salva in the article. They may not be talking about him. They may not talk about him. But if you think he's not reaping the benefits financially of Jeepers Creepers Reborn, then sadly, you're mistaken. Now, whether he's going to reap whether he's going to reap the benefits of future installments, including Reborn, in terms of, what it does financially, well, that's another story. But in order for this production company, in order for there to be a Jeepers Creepers Reborn, Victor Salva would have to have either A, sold the rights or secretly be involved and nobody knows about it. He's reaping the benefits financially from this movie. So I hate to break it to people, but just because his name's not there legally, it is the law. He owns the rights to the character. They can't just go off and make it. It's not a fan film. It's a legit, full-on canon film. He's reaping it somewhere, no pun intended. Let's go to the article from Variety. Here's the article from Variety. Jeepers Creepers Reborn sells to Screen Media, gets 2021 release exclusive. And I want to talk about this, but I also want to talk about, people are very excited about this. They are thrilled about the Creeper returning. And I understand that because the character in and of himself is a cool character. I mean, when we just look at the character in and of itself, and if it was created by Dave McRae and not Victor Salva, or if it was created by Frank Riker or Tabitha Short or Nate A or Jonathan Ball or Jim Joe or whoever in the chat room, it wouldn't be an issue, right? The character in and of himself, the mythology that surrounds the character is interesting. It's a cool looking character. The first movie was actually a pretty good movie. The second movie, not as good as the first movie, but still pretty good. And then the production value tanked in the third movie, which was an absolute disaster of a film. I mean, I tried watching it on Netflix a couple of years ago, and I turned it off literally about 15 minutes into the movie because it was so like D-level shit. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was just a disaster of a film. But you have to ask yourself, what kind of movie do you want here? Because after reading the article, and we'll go through it, at least a little bit here, this isn't the production company that has got it, the director who's directing it, this isn't like major Hollywood, and maybe you're happy about that, but I don't see anything that gives me confidence that Jeepers Creepers Reborn is going to be any better than 3. Now, I mean, that's a very low bar. So, I mean, it's like, Halloween 6, I often say I think is a better movie than Halloween 5, but that's not a very high bar. I mean, Halloween 5's bar was so low, you literally, a mouse could limbo underneath it, or a mouse couldn't limbo underneath it, I should say. I mean, it's a very, very low bar. So Jeepers Creepers 3 it's a disaster of a film. So, I mean, you think, well, that can't be any worse than that. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But what kind of movie do you want? What kind of movie are you expecting? What quality are you expecting here? Let's take a look at the article. Jeepers Creepers Reborn sells to Screen Media, gets 2021 release exclusive. Of course, that's from the original film there. And Justin Baye Apple Long. Do you remember those ads? I miss those ads. They were kind of funny. Wish I had my glasses. They're around here. The Creeper is back and looking for blood. Jeepers Creepers Reborn, the 4th installment in the long-running horror franchise, has sold worldwide distribution rights to Screen Media. Now, Screen Media is not like selling worldwide distribution rights to Paramount Pictures or Universal or Warner Brothers. I mean, let's not, just keep that in mind. The studio plans to release the film in North America in the fall of 2021. Screen Media previously released Jeepers Creepers 3. Well, that's not like a great, hey, they plan on releasing the movie in the fall of 2021. Oh, by the way, they're the ones responsible for releasing the 3rd movie. I mean, that's not a great selling point there, right? I mean, it's not like, I don't know if I would have, I mean, I get that there's the connection, right? I mean, what else are you going to say? I mean, you want to draw the connection to the franchise. You want to draw a connection that Screen Media is familiar with the franchise, that this is it's not their first go around with Jeepers Creepers and the Creeper and all this kind of stuff. I get you want to draw the connection that they're familiar with what they're dealing with here, but it's Jeepers Creepers 3. I mean, it's not exactly a great selling point, nonetheless. The latest installment in the series is from director Timo Verensola. Am I saying that? I'm probably not saying that right. Anyway, who previously oversaw the Iron Sky films. Well, again, I mean, if you look up Iron Sky, you look up the films, I mean, this isn't exactly, these are B movies. I mean, I haven't seen them. I've watched a couple of trailers. They're B movies, not exactly, it's not like this is like they've hired James Wan to come, I mean, this is very different. And not that that's a bad thing. I'm not here saying that B movies are bad. I'm not saying that B movies can't be, oh, my mic is messing up. Audio popping. Better now. Oh, God, really? Shouldn't be doing that. Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. Let me go back. Let me go back here then. I don't know why my mic would be doing that. I even checked. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I even checked. It's a yellow ham. That's right. I even checked to see if the... I even double checked prior to actually going live to make sure it was okay. But obviously there's an issue. So let me just quickly bring up the article on this screen here just to save time. Let's just do that here. Just to save time. I hate when that happens, unfortunately. And I even double checked. I recorded without going live first just to make sure that everything was okay. And apparently it was fine. I did a test and everything was fine, but obviously this is not working the way I want. So let me go over, fuck off Variety with your damn ads. So let's make sure I got you guys back up. I should be okay now. Everything should be okay now. And let's go back to here. Let me bring this here. I want to see you guys on the screen as well. So you won't see the article, but you'll hear me yapping, and you probably already read the article anyway. If you haven't, well, this is the best and easiest way when you run into technical glitches to get things moving. One sec. There we go. And there and there. Okay. So again, I mean, the Iron Sky films, not exactly, I mean, let's just leave it at that. It is part of a planned new trilogy. A planned new trilogy. Well, folks, that all depends on how successful this first one is. How successful financially, how successful critically. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it warrant? I mean, this is a plan. They have ideas to do a trilogy, but they're not necessarily doing them yet. The film is written by Shawn Michael. Shawn Michael Argo. I've never heard of the guy. And of course, and produced by Jake Seal, Quantum of Solace. Now, that's a good, I have to look into Jake Seal, and Quantum of Solace. Well, he produced Quantum of Solace. Yeah, but, producing, I'd have to look into who Jake Seal is and whether that really warrants a, whoa, holy shit, okay, this is going to be great, right? And then, of course, of Oro Studios and Black Hanger Studios and Michael O'Hoven, The Devil's Rejects of Infinity Films. Okay. Seth Needle, Screen Media's SVP of Global Acquisitions and Co-Productions, is executive producing on behalf of the company. Here's the log line. Well, this isn't really a log line. This is more of a synopsis. A log line is usually a sentence, maybe two. This is actually a synopsis. I wouldn't have called this a log line. The film unfolds as the Horror Hound Festival holds its first ever event in Louisiana, where it attracts hundreds of geeks, freaks, and diehard horror fans from far and wide. Among them is fanboy Chase and his girlfriend Lane, I guess, who is forced to come along for the ride. But as the event approaches, Lane begins to experience unexplained premonitions and disturbing visions associated with the town's past, and in particular, local legend, urban myth, the Creeper. As the festival arrives, this is not a log line. As the festival arrives and the blood-soaked entertainment builds to a frenzy, Lane believes that something unearthly has been summoned, and that she is at the center of it. Jeepers Creepers Reborn was shot at Orwo Studios and Black Hanger Studios and on location in Jackson, Louisiana, in December and January. It is currently in post-production. Screen Media's creative executive Connor McAdam is serving as associate producer. Quote, as excited as we are, we know that fans will be even more thrilled and chilled to return to the world of the Creeper. Now with a much scarier vision from director Timo Verosensola, whatever I said earlier. I apologize. Who is the perfect fit to restart this franchise, said Screen Media in a statement. He's the perfect fit to restart this franchise. I want to know why. Why is he the perfect fit to restart this franchise? Because when you look at Timo's filmography, I mean, I'm curious. Because it gives us some insight into the production value, into the style and the tone that we may expect. Now, they said they're going to go darker. They said they're going to go, but that doesn't mean anything. How many times have we heard that? It's all on the execution. I mean, that's great. Okay, they're going to go darker. It's not going to be as campy as maybe the second or third installment. Okay, all right, great. But again, that's not a very high bar to accomplish. So, when they tell me he's the right man for the job, I want you to tell me why. Why is he the right man for the job? What made you pick him? What made you come to the conclusion that he's the right man for the job? Because he's cheap? Because he's your buddy? Because you've worked with him before? Because he's got a style and tone and a directing style that you like? I mean, what is it? Because looking at his filmography, like I said, do we, and I want to know, Jeepers Creepers fans out there, I want to know, does this excite you? I mean, the idea of a Jeepers Creepers movie can excite somebody. Yes, I get that because you're a fan. You're a Jeepers Creepers fan. You want it to be good. You think there's a lot of potential. I get all that. I get all that, right? But when we start weeding through the weeds and looking at the nitty gritty, is there stuff to really be excited about here beyond they're just doing another one? Or is it the euphoria of the potential that fanboys and fangirls get lost in because they really want it to be good? Because that's separate. That's separate. Do you think he's the right man for the job? Jeepers Creepers fans, tell me. Tell me. Do you think this Timo guy is the right man for the job? This guy seems to think he is. And why? Why is he the right man for the job? Because I'm somebody that looks at the original Jeepers Creepers and looks at Jeepers Creepers 3 and thinks to myself, well, I like the more serious take, the more, I don't want to say Hollywood take, but the more, higher production value, not so chintzy B-movie, cheesy, I want something like that. Well, is that what we're going to get with this director? His filmography doesn't say so. Screen Media's releases of other movies don't necessarily say so. So is this the right direction? There's more to discuss here than just, all right, another Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, but are these the right people? Is this the right director? Why is he the right director? The guy says here, who is the perfect fit to restart this franchise? Why? Tell me why. And I'm not saying he isn't. I'm not saying he isn't at all. I just want to know why. I want to know why. Why are Jeepers Creepers fans excited about this? Beyond, oh, I just love Jeepers Creepers. I think there's so much there. There's really cool mythology. I get all that. I get that. But let's go past that and discuss the people that are doing this. Is it the right fit? The deal was negotiated by Needle for Screen Media with Seal on... Let me try that again. The deal was negotiated by Needle for Screen Media with Seal on behalf of the production. Also serving as executive producers are... also serving as executive producers, i.e. these people could have sway and could not have sway, because I'm telling you folks, in the world of motion pictures, executive producers can have input. Executive producers can mean fuck all. Can mean absolutely fuck all. A producer on a movie is far more impactful than an executive producer can be. It's not that executive producers can't have sway and cannot have creative sway, but the spectrum is so vast that I don't even give a shit about the names there. Screen Media's recent acquisitions include the comedy's Senior Moment. Okay, anybody seen Senior Moment? I've never heard of it. And Off the Rails. Have you guys seen Off the Rails? As well as the Nicolas Cage film Willy's Wonderland and Rod Laurie's The Outpost. Okay, folks. Now I've heard of Willy's Wonderland because it seemed I've seen people talking about it. What did you guys think of Willy's Wonderland? Some of the movies that Screen Media is putting out are things like Senior Moment, Off the Rails, Willy's Wonderland, and The Outpost. Okay, how they doing? How are they doing? Talk to me. How are they doing? It's a fascinating topic. It's a fascinating discussion. I have seen, I've seen 2.25 of the Jeepers Creepers films. I've seen the first one, seen the second one. Obviously, before I knew anything about Victor Salva. I did try to watch the third one. It was just dog shit. I like the look of the Creeper. I think we all do. I think horror fans really genuinely love the look of the Creeper. He's different. There's potential. There's always been potential for him to rival a Freddy or a Jason, maybe. Unfortunately, he was created by a convicted pedophile. Unfortunately, the Jeepers Creepers movies came out at a time when the resurgence of the slasher subgenre was dying. By 2001, it was essentially over. The golden age of slashers is between 78 and 85, somewhere in there. And then, of course, you had the resurgence with Scream in 96, but that resurgence lasted 3, maybe 4 years, maybe. By the time Scream 3 came out in 2000, it was pretty much tanking again anyway. So when Jeepers Creepers came out in 2001, it did well. People liked it, but it didn't necessarily have the pop culture impact and footprint that it may have gotten if it was released in, 82 or, 97 or, whatever it is. It's amazing the difference a couple of years can make when it comes to trends and patterns. I don't know. Are you excited about this? Or are you just excited about what you have always wanted it to be? Because I'll be honest with you, and this is not a slight against the production company, it's not a slight against the director. I just, as somebody that maybe is looking at this a little more objective than the hardcore Jeepers Creepers fan, or you could also say maybe I'm not informed enough and I should be really excited about this. But tell me why. Tell me why this is the right production company. Tell me why this is the right direction. Tell me why this is the right director. Tell me why. Because there's nothing I see here that makes me think this isn't going to be another just B movie, straight to streaming, forgettable fucking shit show. There's nothing that tells me that this is like, oh, wait a minute here. Hey, I mean, I've talked to a few people who are more Jeepers Creepers fans than me, who aren't even that enthused about the logline synopsis, variety, synopsis. It's not a logline. I mean, it's, you know, traditionally log lines are not that long. I mean, there are people that read that and go, yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I think is important that you as fans ask yourself, what kind of creeper movie do I want? And do I think we're going to get it? Because, folks, I mean, when you, what is the director? Let's go over to Tim's Wikipedia page here. So he's my age. He was born actually, I'm a bit older than him. He was born the 29th of November, 1979. Is a Finnish film director and actor. Very cool. He has directed Star Wreck movies. I've never heard of them, but okay, cool. The Star Wreck movie, Star Wreck V Lost Contact, and Star Wreck, created by Samuel. Samueli? There's a couple of ways you can pronounce that. So he's most known for Iron Sky. I look at Iron Sky. Okay, I've never heard of it. It is a 2012 Finnish, German, Australian comic science fiction action film. It tells the story of a group of Nazi Germans who have been defeated in 1945, fled to the moon where they built the space. I mean, when you think of this stuff, again, this is B-movie, you know, creature feature, 1950s drive-in shit is what this is. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not a talented filmmaker. It doesn't mean that he's not going to deliver and people are going to watch Jeepers Creepers Reborn and be like, holy fuck, holy shit, yes. But I'm looking for something that I can go, oh, interesting, beyond the fact that they're just making or they've just made another one. Beyond that, I think maybe people are a little more excited than they would be if they weren't blindsided by this. Nobody knew this was happening. I mean, people knew this was happening, but I'm just saying the general movie-going audience, the general horror audience didn't know that this was happening. Generally speaking. Doesn't mean that you didn't know, doesn't mean that some people didn't know, but generally the movie-going audience didn't know that this was happening. So it comes out of nowhere, it catches people by surprise, and they start to get lost in the euphoria of the idea of the announcement. Oh my God, Jeepers Creepers is back, woo! When they're not really paying attention to, you know, it's a sneaky way of doing it. You know, because the production company knows the controversy that surrounds this franchise. They know that the creeper and the character and the mythology was created by a convicted pedophile. They know that. Of course they know that. Everybody knows that now. Well, not everybody, but if you don't, you do now, which is why I wanted to talk about it today. I think it's important to have people informed on it. And his name is nowhere attached. His name isn't even mentioned in the Variety article. I saw the critical overlord in the chat room here say that he was talking to somebody who knew about it. You even mentioned that Victor Salva was caught off guard by the announcement. Well, you'd have to bring evidence to that beyond your source. I mean, I'm not saying your source is not correct, but Victor Salva, you can't make this movie without his approval. And what I mean by that is you can't make his movie without having the financial, the rights to do it. So maybe Victor Salva didn't realize it was happening now, But Victor Salva, I mean, you can't just go ahead and make this. He's reaping the financial benefit. Either he sold out, he's like, here, take it all, and he put up a price and they bought it, which then tells him that at some point they're going to make another one. It's not like Victor Salva is sitting at home going, I had no idea that this was even ever going to happen. No. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. He may not have expected it now. He may not have expected it this year. And he's like, oh shit, I didn't even know they were doing it. But he knew it was eventually going to happen. Convicted pedophile or not, he still legally, by law, created and owned that character. So, you know, there's an important thing to remember there, that he may not have been aware of it, but he was aware. And Variety did the smart thing. They didn't mention his name at all. And you won't see his name mentioned very much. Of course, now that the news is out there, you're likely to have people wanting to press the issue and say, you know, and find out, well, hang on a sec. Did you buy the rights? Is he reaping the fine? Did he sell it all? Did he do what Lucas did? Because people still think that Lucas reaps the benefits of Star Wars, and he doesn't. He sold it all. That's why he sold it for $4.3 billion. But fanboys who don't know their asses from their elbows or how the industry works believe that Lucas is having more sway than he actually does. Financially, I mean. No, he sold everything. Salva may have done that. Salva may have said, okay, $30 million, $20 million, $10 million. It's all yours. Okay, great. But like I said, in doing that, he's aware that they're likely to go off and make these movies now without him. Yes, ambition. Yep, I knew that. Talked about it earlier. So, you know, I just think that this is an opportunity for the Jeepers Creepers. I actually personally would probably just, if it was up to me, you have two options that I see. You either reboot it all together. You just remake it, which would rub a lot of people the wrong way. I get it. I understand that. But like, you know, whatever. Whatever. People get over it. It's exactly how it looks. Or you do what seems to be the fashionable thing to do, and you make a sequel erasing some of the others. Maybe you do a direct sequel to the first movie only. You know, maybe you do a direct sequel to part 2. You erase part 3. The thing is that for longevity of the Creeper franchise, this is what you Creeper fans have to ask yourselves. What kind of Jeepers Creepers movie do you want? Do you want a B movie, you know, like drive-in creature feature, corny kind of, you know, not that it's cheesy, but, you know, is that what you want? Because by all accounts, it looks like that's what you're probably going to get. Or do you want a more polished, serious take? Do you want it to look more polished? Do you want it to feel more polished? Do you want the narrative to take itself seriously? Do you want it to have that impact that a major studio usually only can give you? It doesn't mean the movie's going to be good. The movie could be dog shit. But I'm talking about, you know, that tone, right? What kind of film do you want? I'm not convinced that we're going to get 3 more of these things. I'm really not. Because I have no idea why this guy's the right guy for the job. Unless, based on his filmography, they're saying, well, he makes these cheesy B movies. He's the right man for the job. So that tells me that Jeepers Creepers Reborn is going to be a satirical B movie? I mean, is that, okay, well, then he is the right man for the job. I mean, if putting, you know, defeated Nazis from 1945 on the moon makes this guy the right man for the job, well, then okay. And that's not a slight against him as a filmmaker. I'm just looking at the evidence that's there. I call it political cinematic rhetoric. We feel he's the right man for the job. I don't care. Tell me why you feel that way, because it's the why that makes me go, Ooh, interesting. Because maybe you have information and insight that I don't. Maybe you know things that I don't. So tell me why. It's the why that keeps me excited. It's the why that can change my tune from meh to, oh, okay, interesting. But that's just political cinematic rhetoric. That's what you say. What is he going to say? Well, we're not that really, we're really not that excited about it, but we hired him because whatever. That's not what of course you're not going to say that. It's just shit you say. But looking at his filmography, and I haven't seen his movies, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying looking at the style and the tone and the world and the sandbox that he's played in. Now, could this be his first venture into something more polished, more serious, more, Hollywood? Yes, of course. This could be it. This could be the movie that changes his career, that puts him on the map as a great horror director, that revitalizes the Jeepers Creepers franchise, that brings it to a threshold it's never been before, that takes it to the next level, that makes Jeepers Creepers and horror fans proud, that erases the name Victor Salva, though he'll always be attached to it in some way because he created the character. But you know what I'm talking about. Maybe this is it. But I don't see evidence of that yet. I don't know why I need to be excited. You're excited. Okay, that's great, head of screen media, but that means nothing to me. That means nothing to me because I don't know what you're talking about. So it's very fascinating. It's a touchy subject. I'm glad we talked about it today. I know not a lot of people are talking about it, and I understand that, and I respect it, and I respect that. But I wanted to talk about it because I think it's important, because there are still a lot of people out there that don't know about Victor Salva. And I wanted to let people know about it so you can make an informed decision on whether or not you want to support the Jeepers Creepers movies or not. Whether you want to buy that Blu-ray or not. That's up to you. Now, there are people, as I mentioned at the top of the show, that can separate the artist from the art. I'm somebody that generally can do that. I mean, to me, it's got to be maybe a little more personal. I certainly don't support Victor Salva in the slightest. I condemn that to the highest degree. I think it's disgusting. And I think the fact that he got 15 months in prison is a fucking tragedy. When people can smoke dope, can have a fucking gram of pot on them and get sentenced to 10 years. It's fucking insane. It's insane. But there are people that have more difficult time doing that. I wanted to talk about it, and I don't care about algorithms or views or what. I wanted to talk about it as honestly and openly as possible because that's the only way you can do it. You pussyfoot around this, you change words, you say, well, he said the P word and this. Fuck that. Fuck that. He's a convicted pedophile. He's a convicted child rapist. That's what he is. Okay, YouTube, you hear that? That's what he is. He's a convicted child rapist. That's the reality. Let's go over to the chat room and see what you guys are talking about and see how you guys feel about this. And comment below and let me know. Comment below and let me know what you think. Jonathan Ball says, Dave, I don't think you condemned it, Dave. You don't think I condemned it? You don't think, are you being sarcastic? I certainly don't condone it. That's for sure. Next Gen Studio says, unrelated, but do you think that Halloween could continue after ends in the form of TV shows? You guys, Halloween. On episode Focus, what if Jamie is the killer after 4? Yes, I do think that that's always possible. I do. Robert Kitzmiller sends in a $10 super chat and says, what if the narrative for the villain, they implemented a pedophile story arc that eventually meets its inevitable demise? Would that help justify rebooting the franchise, in your opinion? No, I think that's poor taste. I think that's bad. I think you leave that out. I don't think that's, look, there are some people that would probably in some way see the joy or irony in doing that. I get what you're saying. I do. I think maybe you could, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But I think the best thing to do is just to not even give birth to that subject at all and just leave, especially when it is in regards to this franchise, leave it off the table. Don't talk about it. Don't mention it. Just create a good story. Create a good story. Don't spend your time thinking about how can we subliminally and metaphorically stick it to Victor Salva. I mean, let's not worry about Victor fucking Salva. He's the last piece of shit that I want to be thinking about when I'm watching this movie. He's the last piece of shit that I want to be thinking about when I'm talking about the movie. He's the last piece of shit that I want to think about when I'm making the movie. He's the last piece of shit that I want to think about when I'm paying for the movie. He's the last piece of shit that I want to think about when I'm directing the movie. You know what I mean? And if the narrative is all about killing him off metaphorically, I just think we don't need to go down that road. I get what you're saying, though. I do get what you're saying. And some people might be like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's focus on other things, in my opinion, anyway. In my opinion. Let me just go over to the super chats. A couple came in. Robert Kitzmiller. Jeff Harris sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Jeff. Says, in response to your Facebook post about your analytics, sausage party. That's right. Yeah, I posted on my Many Things Dave McRae Facebook page. If you're not following there, what the hell are you doing? The link is in the description. Where I looked at my analytics over the last month, and 95% of my viewers are male, and only 5% are female. It's hilarious. I mean, that is usually how it is. I think I peaked at maybe 7 or 8% female at one time, and then it usually drops back down. I don't think I've ever made 10%. So if you are female and you are watching, hello and welcome. You are very special here on this channel, no doubt. Howard D sends in a $5 super chat and says, it's crazy to think we're close to 23 years, 23 springs passing since the first film. The first film was 2001. So we're actually 20 years. The first film was 2001. They should have waited to release something in 2024. Are you talking about Jeepers Creepers? Because that's what we're talking about here, Howard. The first Jeepers Creepers movie was released in 2001, not 2004. Unless you're talking about another movie that I'm unaware of. I'm not sure. Let me know. Liam says, Jeepers Creepers is a good film, but I cannot bring myself to rewatch it after finding out about the nasty ass story of the director. And that's fair, Liam. That's fair. That's totally fair. And I understand that there are horror outlets like Bloody Disgusting who do not want to talk about it. I don't even think they wrote a story about it. And that's their right to do that. I respect that. I understand why. I can intellectualize why. It's also my right to talk about it because I think it's important that we talk. It's not that you talk about it. It's how you talk about something. It's the information that you lead with. It's the angle that you approach with, right? It's not just talking about Victor Salva in and of himself. It's informing the audience about something that they may not know. Because like I said at the top of the show, it's not like he's a household name. And you can get lost in your horror bubble and think everybody knows who he is. And, well, everybody knows that Jeepers Creepers was directed by a child rapist. I mean, come on. No. I could ask my girlfriend right now, did you know that Jeepers Creepers was directed by a child rapist? And she'd be like, no, not at all. She probably never even heard of the name Victor Salva. And there are millions of people who are movie fans who haven't either. So I think it's important that under the right circumstances, under the right conditions, that we inform people of that. That's important. Very important. Of course, I'm doing it in my own Dave McRae theatrical way today, but every bit of information I said about how I feel today, I mean. I think it's disgusting. Kenny525 says, that's also weak, bro. Watch the movie. It's good. You don't have to support the... Oh, well, no. It's look, Kenny, it's his choice. Like I've been saying, it's not weak. It may be weak to you, but objectively speaking, there are people in this world, and we have to respect that have a much more difficult time separating the artist from the art. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not right or wrong. Some people can do it. And it doesn't mean that if you can do it, that somehow you are condoning child pornography and you support Victor Salva. It doesn't mean that. To make that leap is just immature and incorrect. It doesn't mean that at all. There's many different variables at play. you know, just as not watching it again doesn't mean that you don't like the movie or that you know, it doesn't mean that either, right? There are different kinds of people, and different people have different thresholds, right? Different thresholds. And, you know, and I get it. I totally get it. I understand it. I understand it. Frank Riker sends in a $5 super chat, says, Dave, such an interesting topic and worth discussing, but do you think we'll see Michael drive the station wagon from 78 again? Yes, Frank. I love it. I love when Frank the Tank goes hard into the paint. Oh, I love you, Frank. You never know, Frank. Yeah, it depends on how I mean, I know you're being satirical, but it's kind of funny because it's like, who knows? It depends on how nostalgic they want to get. It depends on how nostalgic, you know, Halloween Kills wants to get. I doubt we'll see him drive the 78 station wagon. I think he should just drive a station wagon. Or I think it should be the Griswold family truckster. That's what I think he should do. That's what I think he should drive to a belting Holiday Road. Like, just have Holiday Road. Just have it belting out, and he's be fucking great. It would be great. Michael Myers says, Dave, what are your thoughts on the Mortal Kombat trailer? I gave my thoughts on the show last week. I didn't particularly care. I mean, but I'm also somebody that watched the movie once 25 years ago, played the game maybe a couple of times, don't know any of the mythology, I'm not a Mortal Kombat fanboy, so I mean, it's cool, but all I remember from the movie and all I remember from Mortal Kombat is just the Mortal Kombat. That's all I remember. That's all so when I watch the trailer to Mortal Kombat, I'm not seeing the nuances and the cool fan things that you might pick up on as a hardcore fan. I just see another Hollywood CGI fest that'll probably, you know, get buried under the carpet. It comes out, it's gone. I mean, I don't see anything that makes me go, oh my God, but I'm not the right guy to ask. So for me, I look at that and I go, okay, next. You know, that's what I see. But I'm not the right guy to ask about that. Andreas Mendez says, if we're going to decide what films to watch based on the director's life or personality, we don't have much left. Most Hollywood executives, directors, and some actors are pieces of shit. Well, I think that's a broad statement. I think that's a blanket statement. I don't think that's true. I think there are people that definitely work in the industry, just like there are doctors and police officers and paramedics and firefighters that are also scum-sucking pieces of shit and that also have skeletons in their closet that you wouldn't want to know about. Maybe not to that degree, but I'm just saying that I get what you're saying. I think what you're saying is true, but I think it's too much of a blanket and broad statement to make. Unless that was the idea, you know, is just you're being satirical and you're just kind of saying, well, listen, I mean, if we, you know, but there are also variables, right? You know, getting caught with cocaine is very different than raping a 12-year-old child. Yelling and screaming, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying yelling and screaming at your girlfriend on the phone and calling her awful names, which is not right either, by the way, is very different than raping a 12-year-old child. Again, there are degrees. I'm talking about Mel Gibson, of course, here. There are degrees and there are variables at play. And unfortunately, there are things in this world that our society, and rightly so, in my opinion, has deemed almost you cannot come back from that. That is gone, but that is, over the point of no return. And most of us rational people in society agree that those are things like rape and, child rape and pornography. And yeah, it's a thing that you just can't, for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, dude, sorry, man. Like, that's not, you were caught with cocaine and, you fell down the steps and the paparazzi happened to catch you. I mean, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about raping a child. Those are very different things. But you are not incorrect in the sense that there are a lot of secrets in Hollywood, no doubt. No doubt. Let me see, just to make sure all the super chats are there. Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, let's see. Who else we got? Troy Grubb says, people like Victor should be not allowed to work in Hollywood. I agree. I've never been a big fan of that franchise. Love Daffy Duck Hat Dave. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm a big Daffy Duck fan, in case you guys didn't know. Listen, Victor Salva, based on the rules of the law, wherever, I mean, again, and I know that the laws can vary from state to state. I assume that despite the fact that I think he probably should still be in prison, he went to prison for 15 months. He was sentenced to 3 years. He was done parole in 92, which is insane. I mean, he hasn't been, it's ridiculous. I'm not suggesting that he shouldn't, based on the law, have a right. Listen, there are people in this world that would be okay if somebody went over and murdered him. If somebody went over and actually sliced off his head. That's the kind of world we live in. That we live in a world where that kind of thing, there are people right now, maybe even some of you in the chat, that would condone and totally accept if I went over to his house and murdered him. Two wrongs don't make a right, despite what you may think and want. But I do believe that he has the right to work, but people also need to be informed by law of his past and have the right for refusal of that work. And maybe Victor Salva will have to just, do what other convicted rapists and pedophiles end up doing. Maybe they work in factories. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what they're allowed to do under the rules and regulations of their, but to work in such a high profile industry may be done for him. And I totally accept that. I can understand why. It's very difficult when you have a director who's a convicted child rapist is directing your movie. It's too much baggage. It's too much serious, beyond the threshold of no return baggage. It's not cocaine. It's child rape. He's a liability at the nth degree. He's a liability, man. He's never going to direct a mainstream film for the rest of his life, ever. Nobody will ever. He's not going to direct a major film that you're going to go see in the movie theater. I'm not saying he's never going to direct again. He may fund it himself, produce it himself, shoot it himself, hire his buddies. Yeah, I'm not saying we'll never see a Victor Salva movie again, but I will be stunned and Universal hires Victor Salva to take on the next, Jaws movie. It's like, that's not going to happen. He's too much of a liability, too much baggage, especially in this climate. The second that is announced and Paramount announces he's taking on a new, Indiana Jones movie. I mean, the second that drops, it's going to be all over Twitter. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He's done. He's done. Evil Alex says, I like the first two Jeepers Creepers. I don't care about the director. Most people in Hollywood are trash. If people think that they, I think that's a blanket statement. I understand why you think that. We also have to understand that most people working in Hollywood are not rich. Most people who are working in Hollywood are not the people you see. Most people who are working in Hollywood are not the faces you see. They are you see the same select number of faces all the time. And they are not the vast majority of Hollywood. I mean, the vast majority of Hollywood are not millionaires. The vast majority of your crew are not millionaires. The vast majority of your Hollywood actors are not millionaires. There's a perception and there is there's a veil that Hollywood creates. But we have to remember that. I get what you're saying, but we have to remember that. There are good people there too. If people think that way, then they should stop watching most Hollywood films. Again, I don't think that's correct. I don't think it's correct. Because I think there are good people that make good movies. But there are people that do make... let's not let Victor Salva spoil it for everybody. Right. Aaron Click says, did anyone else think the ending of the original Jeepers Creepers is kind of voyeuristic, creepy, not just in a horror way, and predatory? I'd have to see the original again, buddy. I haven't seen it in a while, quite a few years, actually. Actually, the last time I think I saw it was when I was the voice of a movie channel up here in Canada called Encore Avenue. It's kind of like the movie network. It's defunct now. It doesn't exist because Bell Media up here bought out Chorus Entertainment, I believe, and then they decided to rebrand and all that kind of stuff. So, but for about 4 or 5 years, I was the voice of a movie channel called Encore Avenue, and I remember doing a bunch of promo spots for Jeepers Creepers. This is probably like 2012, 2013, something like that. And I think I was like, oh, I forgot about this. And this is before I knew that Victor Salva was Victor Salva. And I was like, oh, I should go home and watch it. And I didn't. I went home and I watched it again. I'd already seen it. I was like, oh, this is good. So I probably haven't seen the original in like maybe 7, 8 years, maybe. It's been a while. So I'd have to check that out. David Lee Barron sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, David. And says, Dear Dr. Pichet, yes, I am a doctor. Is Jerry Lee Lewis AP? He married his 13... Oh, I see what you're saying. He married his 13-year-old cousin. Was Elvis AP? Priscilla was 14. He was 24. Priscilla was 14 when Elvis was 24 when they met. Yes, that's true. She wasn't 14 when they married. But yes, she was 14 when they met. I don't know if they had... It would depend. If Elvis Presley had sex with Priscilla at the age of 14, then yeah, there's 100%. If Jerry Lee Lewis, that's right, he married his 13-year-old cousin, I remember that, then yes. But you also have to remember that there are some crazy, funky rules in some of the southern states, too. Jerry Lee Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, was also southern, and so was Elvis Presley. So we have to remember that, there are silly rules and regulations. There are states that have a rule that you have to be 16 to marry or 16 to have sex with somebody who's 16 and over or 18 or whatever the case is. And then and I don't pretend to know this. My American brothers and sisters can help me out here. There are some states I know that are pretty wonky and weird with their rules and regulations in this regard. So I would have to look into it a bit deeper, but you're not wrong on what you're saying there. But I mean, if Elvis Presley had sex with Priscilla at 14 and again, I don't think that's right at all, but then now it becomes, well, I did it when we were in Louisiana, and Louisiana, it says you can be 30. I mean, now it becomes a real stupid thing. But yeah, again, but does that mean Elvis Presley wasn't one of the most talented, incredible entertainers of all time? No. Whether you believe Michael Jackson is a pedophile or not, I tend to believe there are some weird, I tend to lean in the area of that there aren't some good things with him. But does that mean that he's not one of the greatest entertainers who have ever lived? No. Michael Jackson, let's say that Michael Jackson, for the sake of argument, was that kind of man. Let's say he was, for the sake of argument, okay? Does that mean he's no longer one of the greatest entertainers of all time? No. He was, is, and will always be one of the greatest entertainers in the history of the business. It may change your outlook on him. It may ruin it for you and how you see him, but it doesn't change the objective fact of his incredible music, his amazing dancing, amazing choreography, and his ability to entertain. Scuzz-sucking pieces of dog shit can be incredibly talented people. They can. And very good, nice people can also be incredibly talented people too. Let's see here. No, I saw the real reveal. I did see it come in. Thank you, Frank, though. Thank you very much. Let me see here. Real reveal. Where are you? I did see it come in. Let me go back. Real. Oh, real. You know what? I did see it, but I'm not. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Real reveal. $2 super chat. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about It's Me, Billy. I can't wait for it. It's me, Billy. Yes. It's me, Billy. I posted a picture yesterday letting everybody know that It's Me, Billy has the assembly edit is pretty much complete. The sound design is nearing completion, and the color correction and color grading process will begin soon. Bruce is actually coming over today to work on that, and we are very excited. It is really cool to see it. I wish I could show you guys some stuff, but we're not there yet. We're not ready for that yet. I always want to release things, images and things like that when they are, at their full potential. I mean, unless I label something BTS, which I always could do, obviously, then it doesn't matter if it's a poor quality image in terms of color grading and, things like that, because it's behind the scenes. It's candid. It's as is in the moment. Nobody's expecting it to look cinematic necessarily. But in terms of any promotional material for the movie, there's a lot of stuff I would love to be able to release for it. And we do have stuff we've set aside for it, but we're not quite there yet. But very excited. Things are going very well. We've been working very hard behind the scenes on It's Me, Billy, to make it the best possible movie we can make it. The most cinematic we can make it. And it's pretty cool. It's cool to watch it come along too, because we always knew this as the writers, the directors, and the producers of the film. We always knew this, but it is cool to have this confirmed for us that, this really is a psychological thriller, psychological horror drama kind of thing. Like, it's very in line with the original. And we're very happy about that. It's not a blood, guts, and gore movie. It's not a prototype slasher movie. It's very much like the original film. So I know I've said this before, but I think if you like the original movie, you'll appreciate what we've done here. And I know that this is me saying this, and I know that, that this, I'm the first to say, well, listen, if James Cameron says it's a good Terminator movie, it's James Cameron. And so take you have to judge it on its own merits and how you feel about it. But I'm trying to be as objective as possible. But I can certainly say I believe we have hit the mark in the sense of that this is more Black Christmas than the last two Black Christmas movies. So I think you will be very pleased with that. So happy with that, and very excited about how things are going. So thank you for inquiring, Real Reveal, one of our associate producers, of course, on It's Me, Billy, and really appreciative of your contribution and your support. And you've been great in that regard. And we are definitely excited. We are definitely excited, my man. We are definitely excited. Things are looking good, and we will release more tidbits of information as we move along. So we are definitely excited. Duke Fleet says, Dave, how long is the movie then? Well, the assembly edit has been done. And an assembly edit, you have to remember, is not the final edit. Now, with a movie like It's Me, Billy, an assembly edit is likely to be very close to a final edit because there's not a lot of fat. This is a short film. It's not like we're out there for, 3 or 4 months shooting, 500 hours of footage. This is a very, there's not a lot of fat here. We were very prepared. We were very precise with our shot list. We knew the angles we wanted. We knew the shots we wanted. So there's not a lot of fat to trim. So I don't want to get ahead of the game and give an exact runtime of the movie, because I don't want people to think that it may not change. But I can say that I'll just say this, that the assembly edit of the movie thus far is over 30 minutes. So I will say that. Now, whether it ends up being 31 minutes, 35 minutes, 37 minutes, 32 minutes, 30 minutes, 50 seconds, I don't know yet. We have to go through the movie. We have to watch it. How does the pacing feel? Are there scenes we can trim? Maybe we trim a few frames here. Maybe we move this around. Maybe we don't need that shot after all. It can still get a bit shorter. But as of right now, that's what we're looking at. So pretty cool. All right, 10 more minutes left in the show, ladies and germs. So let's see who we got here. What we got going on? Warren Armour says, I thought Roman was charged with murder. I don't know who you're talking about. Roman? Not sure. Real Reveal says, thank you, Dave, Bruce, team. I'm so excited and ready for this movie. I'm going to put it up on my home theater for the first time so I can crank that sound on. Yo, you're going to definitely want to crank. I've been busting my ass cranking it out. Ken B says, are you doing the score? Yes, for all intents and purposes. A lot of the score is sound design. So I have a library full of all types of sounds. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to match, and there's some score sounds in there and you know, different sound effects that I put together and I mix and master to make, you know, drone soundscape sounds and all that kind of stuff. I blend all sorts of stuff. Piano scrapes, obviously, because piano scrapes is very much part of an identity of the original Black Christmas. So I wanted a lot of the creative control over that. And I have had several composers reach out to me and ask and inquire about doing the score for It's Me, Billy. I want to say, first of all, we really appreciate all of you who have reached out to us and have inquired about this. We really, really do. It means a lot, sincerely. At the moment, we're not going that avenue because it's more of a time crunch thing, and we want the creative control over this in that area. Not that, I mean, obviously a composer doesn't just go off and do what they want, but for a composer to really do what they do, they would have to see a finished edit of the movie. We would have to send them the finished edit of the film. They would have to look at it. We would have to have discussions. It's a lengthy process when you want to do it right. I mean, yes, you could have a phone call and say, hey, I want you to do this and this and this and this, and they go off and do it and send it to you and go, you know, what do you think of this? But to do it right, when you're making a professional film, the composer has to watch the movie, and they have to watch the movie because they are putting their own stamp on it. You talk to the composer, you tell them what you imagine in terms of style and feel and tone, and then they use their area of expertise to make that happen. And, you know, how about this? How about that? And you go back and forth. I mean, you know, composing a film can be a few months process. And so the movie won't be done and ready for a composer to see, probably not for another few months. So when I say few, maybe not till April, let's say. So, or maybe even the beginning of May. And so it's just, and then it could take another month or two to, you know what I mean? And our goal with this movie, as you know, is we want to release this in the spring. Now the spring can be anywhere from March 20th to June 20 something, even though we really consider June a summer month. Right now, it is still on track for a late spring release, but we don't have a hard date yet. There will be a trailer. I mean, there was a teaser that was released on Christmas Eve. We do have a trailer that is coming. Not sure when yet. And our goal is to have a solidified date in that trailer, but we also want to make sure that we can meet that date. So there's a lot of things that we're working on, a lot of variables. So, but it's definitely fun. Definitely fun, and things are moving. Gary Rangel says, tuned in late, sorry, but I love all three Jeepers films. All right, well, there you go. Gary loves them all. I don't like it. Warren Armour says, is it still snowing in Canada? I love when you say, is it still snowing in Canada? Like, it's like, that'd be like me saying to you, hey, Warren, is it still snowing in the U.S.? It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, let's say I live in here, but it's just so funny. Canada's a very big place. We have snow, although a lot of the snow has melted now. I think what's the temperature today? Where's my phone? My phone is out there, out in the other room. Hey, Google, what's the temperature in Toronto today in Fahrenheit?
Today in Toronto, it will be partly cloudy with a forecasted high of 35 and a low of 24 degrees Fahrenheit.
So
currently it's 33 degrees and mostly sunny.
Thank you.
By the way, I can give you lots of information about your day.
Yeah, shut up, Google. Oh, okay, quiet, Google. Shut up, Google. So it's about 35 degrees here today, Fahrenheit, in Toronto. So it's not freezing. You know, it's not warm, but it's not freezing. I mean, it's February in Toronto. Yes, there is snow, but it's melting. And but it could likely snow again. I mean, we're not done yet. I mean, it could likely snow again. We can get snow right until April, and then things kind of change. Let me see here. David Lee Barron sends in a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, David. Says, do you think it's wrong to make movies like Call Me By Your Name? It's a romance movie of a 24-year-old getting together with a 17-year-old. It's an Academy Award-winning film. I don't know, David, because I haven't seen the movie. So I would have to see the movie, and I'd have to see the presentation, the context, any subtext that's there, the message of the film. I need to watch it myself to figure out how I feel about it. Having a 24-year-old with a 17-year-old, at face value, you go, well, that's illegal because you have to be 18. But what is the point of the movie? What is the message of the movie? How is the movie executed? Is it just exploiting that? Is there subtext? Is there, what's the moral? What's the point of it? So, it's an Academy Award-winning film. What awards did it win? Did it win Best Picture or did it win Best Sound Mix? There's different awards would dictate different levels of acceptance. So, and that might tell us something about the plot and all that. So I'm not sure, but I will definitely have to check it out. It's a good question. All right, 4 more minutes to go. Danita Brown says, see everyone later. Have a good one, Frank, Darren, Chris, and Tabitha. Take care, Danita. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Juan Rivera says, hey, Dave, are you a fan of Abbott and Costello? Yeah, I am. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but I definitely enjoy some of their routines, like Who's On First, which is their classic one, of course. Genuine comedy without the cursing. Very true. That is timeless. Do you like the crossovers they do with The Mummy and Frankenstein? I've never seen them, to be honest with you, Juan. I've never seen them. But I definitely have seen a lot of clips of them. And you're right. It was a different time. It was a different era. A different time, a different era when it comes to comedy. And, saying things like the F word, it was a very, very different time. A very different time. So, but yes, I do enjoy a lot of those old school, I love Lucy. I love the Honeymooners. And there's some things in the Honeymooners that now people are like, but I adore the Honeymooners. I love Lucy. I love, Abbott and Costello and the Dick Van Dyke Show. Oh my God, I adore Dick Van Dyke in that show. There's a lot of great stuff that I love from that era for sure. Rick W sends in a $4.99 super chat and says, damn, getting gray. Can't wait for It's Me, Billy. Yes. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens when you guys stress me out. I get gray. Oh, well, I'm almost 42 years old too. So if I was 21, then I'd be a little worried, but, it's distinguished. It means I've seen shit, been through shit, and know shit. That's what that is. Can't wait for It's Me, Billy. Thank you, Rick. Really appreciate it. Tiffany Moses Shante says it's almost 50 here today. It's nice. Awesome. I'm jealous, Tiffany. I'm jealous. Yeah. Frank Riker says Honeymooners had spousal abuse. Well, it had... yeah, in a well, I wouldn't say it had spousal abuse. It had the satirical, it was this, like, I get what but then again, you could look at All in the Family and be like, well, that's a fucking racist show. Archie Bunker was racist as fuck, which again, it's not like Archie was, but I actually think the All in the Family is a little, if you want to get, I think it's worse than the Honeymooners personally, but I do get what you're saying. Definitely there is that angle to it. But I'd lie if I said I didn't laugh at the Honeymooners. I do. Christian 1985 sends in a $2 super chat, says, hey Dave, I know you like He-Man, G.I. Joe as well. I was more of a He-Man fan. I had all the He-Man toys. I never really watched the G.I. Joe cartoon. I remember it. G.I. Joe, the greatest American hero. I certainly remember it, but I was more into the G.I. Joe toys. I liked the action figures, and I had the G.I. Joe base, and I had I was really into the figures, but never really watched the show. But I knew enough of the show to know who the figures were and kind of what their stories were. But never really, it's kind of weird. But I was really into He-Man for sure. David Lee Barron says, it won Best Screenplay. Well, if it won Best Screenplay, David, and thank you for the super chat, by the way, then there doesn't have to be, but I will definitely check it out and see what is the story? What is the message? What's the subplot? Because listen, there have been many films with difficult, touchy plots, narratives, that are, tough for people to talk about. But if it's done the right way, and if it's done with class, sometimes those stories and movies can be very powerful and very moving, and they can resonate with people for all the right reasons as opposed to all the wrong ones. Now, it takes a certain level of maturity to be able to watch a movie like that, or any movie with a touchy subject that is, but it's all in the execution, right? Execution is very important. It's very, very important. Frank says, next topic, woke 50s and 60s sitcoms comparisons. Hey! No, I don't think we'll do that. But you never know. You never know. Let me see here. Aaron Anderson. It's been proven. Look it up. Stop blocking people just because you don't agree with them. Aaron, stop being antagonistic or we will block you. Listen, Aaron, you've come in here on many occasions and you seem to like to stir the pot. My moderator's job is to keep the flow of the chat room flowing. And my moderators have done a great job at allowing discourse and debating back and forth. And if I don't believe Frank has ever blocked or removed a comment just because he didn't agree with it, I don't believe he's ever done that. But, I have seen in the past, you've been antagonistic and stirring the pot, what appears to be just for the sake of it. Try not to do that. You obviously have strong opinions, and that's okay. That's okay. If you have strong opinions, that's okay. We encourage and we want strong opinions. But don't come in here looking for a fight. Don't come in here with a chip on your shoulder, okay? We had to remove you once. I allowed you back in, okay? Because I want people to, I want you to have the opportunity to state your opinions and to feel that you can flex a bit of your, muscles and say, well, you know what? I don't agree with this and here's why, But do understand that there is a threshold that we don't like it to go to just to keep the flow of the chat going, because we want people to stay on topic and we want people to not get so caught up in the emotional aspect of many topics. Okay. So Aaron, we love you. You're here. We want you to be here. But just understand that if my moderators remove something you've said, it's probably for good reason. I've yet to have a complaint. I've yet to have anybody reach out or I've yet to look at something they've removed and be like, I don't think they needed to remove that. I understand everything they remove so far. I've been like, well, I totally get why that. It's either the end result of a debate that's going back and forth. That's getting a little too, okay, hang on a sec here. We need to kind of, or it's something that could light a fire that could be problematic and light an unnecessary fire that we just don't want it to go to. Right? So just keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with flexing opinions and saying what you believe, but always try to do it. Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I mean, what you say obviously matters too, but more often than not in this world, we can keep the flow of conversation going at a very civil, mature level when we understand that, it's how I say something. Let me phrase it this way. Let me make this more of a welcoming kind of debate rather than oh yeah, well, you know what I mean? Those tend to not go over well in any chat room. Anyways, folks, that's going to do it for me. My name's Dave McRae. Thank you for joining me here on episode 147 of McRae Live. Thank you to my moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber. I almost said Cody Leach for some reason. Chris Baber. I think it's the C in there that I was going to say. Chris Baber, for doing what you guys do. I really appreciate it. Again, keeping the flow of the chat room going. You guys are amazing. Thank you to all the super chat questions that came in today. Thank you to the non-super chat questions that came in today. I really do appreciate it. If you're watching this after the fact, comment below and let me know your thoughts. Keep it civil. All right. Keep it, it's a touchy subject. You can let me know your thoughts on Victor Salva. You can let me know your thoughts on art versus the artist and all that, but try your best to keep it civil in the comment section below. I believe we can do this. I believe that my viewers are mature enough to write a mature comment that isn't going to, that isn't unnecessarily antagonistic. We can have mature conversations in the chat room about touchy discussions. And I think they can be helpful and good discussions for people who are not informed of it. You might change somebody's life by even just having a great conversation in the discussion. Maybe not change somebody's life. That might be a little too on the nose. But, make somebody more informed about something they may not know about. So let's try to keep that as civil as possible. I may or may not be back tomorrow. I should be back tomorrow, I think. But I got some things going on with It's Me, Billy, and I want to make sure I can adjust it. So I may not be back tomorrow. But I'll let you guys know if I am not. So, but that will do it for me. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. And I will have a great rest of your Thursday. And I will talk to you guys soon. In the meantime and in between time, cheers.